Well, friends, thank you very much for joining us back on the Homegrown Hunter TV. I got good friend Mark Lapp here from GoHuntBirds.com. Mark, thanks for coming to the Homegrown.
Steve, thanks for having me.
No problem. Well, everybody, I wanted you to get to know Mark a little bit more. I met him at a sportsman's gathering that we held there I guess it was a year ago now. And I thought I'd have you on the show, talk about your Mason Jar t-shirts, which I think is an awesome way to market your product. But I wanted to know about the group of guys that you're trying to inform and maybe educate on the whole flock, per se, about getting involved with the outdoor industry and the hunting.
Okay, so we're a group of guys. We just hunt for fun. We're not a guide service. We're not professionals. We're not an outfitter. We're a guy just like you. We work for a living, and we hunt for fun. And we wanted to promote that lifestyle into a brand that encompasses all the lifestyle of being a bird hunter, goose hunter, turkey hunter, upland game hunter, duck hunter, doesn't matter.
So if it's got wings, you're a part of that
if it's got feathers and flies, we're in.
Feathers and flies.
Yeah. So anyway, so we decided the name Go Hunt Birds because we don't want to promote coming and hunting with us. It's go hunt on your own.
Okay.
Go hunt with an outfitter. Go hunt with your kids. That's kind of the premise of where the name came from.
Okay.
And so we took that to a brand, and my beautiful wife came up with the idea of packaging these in these jars.
Well, these are super cool. Now I do see there's a window decal and obviously a business card for yourself, the T-shirt, and of course you can give this to your mother to can up some tomatoes in the season. I think it's definitely homegrown. If I can say that, it's a way that produces a country feel, yet at the same time it's natural. I think that the name that you've come up with is sticking, and I see a lot of guys out there with those T-shirts and hats, man, and that's where I'm like, holy geez, a lot of my friends that are following Rackstacker are showing up with this stuff, and I thought, why not have you on here? Tell me about what the group does, because I honestly don't know what it does, but I love the logo and I love what you're doing.
Okay, so like I said before, we're a group of guys. We have a rotating guys. There's always 12 of us every year. At the start of the year, we sit down, have a little bit of a meeting, and kind of discuss how our seasons are going to go. We hunt for fun. We put a lot of effort, a lot of scouting, a lot of time management, a lot of property management, a lot of relationships with landowners to make sure that our season goes well. And we try to share that with as many people as we can, whether it's our kids or our friends or our co-workers.
And how does that involve anybody from Alberta? If they were to watch the show and want to get involved, is it just a local branding thing for yourself? Or
same idea.
Can you offer something as in regards to knowledge of maybe gaining access to property or talking to landowners in regards to getting possession of that land?
Well, you got to think, when you're knocking on somebody's door looking for permission, you got to think from their point of view. There's a stranger potentially knocking on my door looking to come onto my property with a firearm, potentially with a group of friends. You want to make sure that you have, you're well dressed, you're pleasant, you tell them who you are, what you're about, and what your intentions are. You don't want to make enemies of the people that are allowing us to hunt on their property.
Yeah. Well, I think I can speak on myself. I mean, I normally present myself as a well-going, balanced guy that doesn't hunt with a pile of guys. I mean, I don't run around knocking on doors trying to gain access to lock it in, per se.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm going to hunt that land, but the biggest key, I think, is that with hunters, they may approach it at the wrong time of year. Banging on the door on Halloween night saying, hey, do you mind if I access your land here? And all of a sudden he might think, you know what, hunting season's around the corner. I don't want you and your buddies tromping through my cornfield chasing deer. So the way I approach it is typically in the springtime.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the landowners up in the Pembroke areas where you're from, and he was saying that, he has had guys approach him, and then all of a sudden ends up locking gates and closing. It's like he owns the land, but in fact the landowner starts to get upset. With yourself, your approach, we went out for lunch there not long ago, and you were saying that one of the biggest things that you do is maybe give them gift baskets or
gifts or
gift
presents or cards.
An appreciation letter from the crew, right?
It's from the crew. It shows that we care enough to come back when the hunt is over and say thank you. But it's not, it's something that we would do regardless. Without a landowner, more so for bird hunting than it is maybe for deer hunting. Usually deer hunting, you buy a 100-acre parcel and that's yours and you hunt on it and you don't really care what goes on outside of that 100 acres. But With bird hunting, the birds move. So you need to have a few different places to hunt, and you want to make, and the crops rotate from year to year. So a field that might be good in year 1 is not so much in year 2.
Yeah.
So it's a relationship, and you want to make sure that these people know that you appreciate them when you're hunting there, or they just won't let you hunt on their property. So I mean, at the end of the day, they're the ones paying taxes. They're the ones that are taking the liability in their hands if somebody gets hurt on their property and that kind of stuff.
I think that's one of the biggest fears. I mean, a gentleman up the road just sold his land that I had access to, and when I first met him, he was absolutely not a chance happening. And you can join certain clubs that have liability insurance for hunters that can protect you. And I literally walk in with my membership card saying, look, I've got that liability coverage, which again, nonprofit organizations have that sort of coverage. So I encourage guys to sign on to that as well. But from the .com business that you've got, do you offer maybe a piece of paper that says landowner agrees to rada rada rada, I'm gonna not concession? Because I know that and this happened literally yesterday morning. I was hunting with a good friend of mine, and I parked my truck. Everybody knows what my truck looks like, and the guy's like, hey, are you hunting that sweet corn field that I'm supposed to be hunting? And I'm like, well, listen, I'm with a friend of mine that has full access to this land, and I know that for a fact. Yeah. So because you have access too, all of a sudden a friend of mine is getting grumpy with a friend of mine, and now I'm stuck in the middle between two good friends. And it's like, listen, we all have to work together. Don't get in a pissing match with me, because I'm not here to step on your toes. But the problem was, it was a Monday morning, and the guy that says, or drove by me, says, hey, you're in my field. Well, I'm not in your field. I'm in the owner's field. The owner's field, and he's given access to us. Plus, he was concerned that the birds were going to be flushed out if we were shooting. Yeah. But it's still 5 days from the hunt. So, I mean, the biggest key here with Go Hunt Birds is to make sure that we understand as hunters. We've all got to work together. Stop banging heads. And I think
agree.
The duck world. I'm not a duck hunter.
Yeah.
I guess as of yesterday, I started to become more of a duck hunter. But I find the duck world is much more for land. And how do you protect the landowner or yourself, and to make sure that nobody gets stepped on?
So I mean, our group of guys in our area, anyway, we keep in touch with the other groups of hunters. Talk to the people who are hunting in certain areas, find out where they're hunting, if they're hunting, maybe share a hunt with them. If there's you and a buddy are hunting this field that me and a buddy have the same permission on, why not just the 4 of us hunt together and share our decoys and share our whatever, our dogs or our blinds, as opposed to fight over.
It's not worth fighting over.
No, it's not.
Yeah. And you were saying too that the group of guys, you guys end up meeting up, I don't know how regularly you do it, but you say, okay, well, wind's good for this spot, I'm going to go here. Or maybe, hey, did you notice that John cut his field and plowed his corn under? So that's kind of the field
that's a 12-month-a-year thing. In the spring, it's, did you see so-and-so planted oats? That's going to be good for the fall. Mm-hmm. Did you see so-and-so cut that oat field? And there's birds in there now. And then we'll coordinate our hunts that way. For example, this morning, there was only 2 guys of our 12 that could hunt today. I mean, I'm here, obviously, you guys are working. So they just went to a little field.
Just communication between the group.
We're just going to go to a field where we saw 20 geese, and hopefully, and they shot 8. They've already texted me. We've shot 8 birds this morning. We're happy. We're pulling out for breakfast.
Awesome.
As opposed to, we're hunting tomorrow, and there's a group of 6 of us, and we have a field with about 300 birds in it. And so they could have went there today and maybe shot 20, and then ruined it for the guys that are hunting tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that same field that we're hunting tomorrow is a field that we share with another group of hunters that I know that they're going to be there Saturday. So by, Thursday, Friday, hopefully by Saturday, those guys are going to get in there and get a hunt, and we won't have ruined their hunt by hunting there 2 days earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
It's about sharing your resources. If you've noticed, especially with geese, you've noticed there's tons of them around. There's no reason for us to fight over them.
That was a conversation we had yesterday too. I'm setting up, I don't even know how many we set up, probably 100 decoys. And I remember the first time I went hunting 12 years ago for geese, I shot my first game animal was a goose. Yeah. And as I was talking to Randy, the guy that introduced me to it, the first, to shoot 1 goose 25 years ago was awesome. And so the biggest key is making sure that we all have a lot of geese to hunt. Don't get in a pissing match, because if we get a stiff north wind, all of a sudden you get more migrants coming into that field.
Correct,
so there's no reason to get in an argument. I think, and this is my own opinion, I know your business a little bit, but maybe offer something to your flock or your crew. Maybe just I can't call it possession. Maybe land property document for the owner. So then that way, and this is only coming from yesterday's experience. So I'm talking to the 2 guys I'm hunting with. I'm texting to the 2 guys pissed off at me.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to say, guys, look, go to the owner together. Get this piece of paper and say, Mr. I'm not going to mention names, but Mr. So-and-so, landowner, can I have access? Yes. What's the lot number? What's the concession? Who other guys can sign on to this? And then that way you can say, Mark, Steve, John, Chris, and Billy, Joe, because I'll tell you right now, in that whole conversation I had with them, I knew every one of them.
Sure you did.
And they knew everyone else. So why are you going to get in a pissing match?
So why would they not go together? So,
exactly.
And so again, we have obviously permissions from farmers where the farmer would prefer to just have me and our guys hunt there, because then he knows if there's an issue, I go to Mark.
Yeah.
I know that he's the only one allowed to hunt here.
Yeah.
And also I know that he's going to kind of keep an eye on my property when I'm not there for the benefit of the group of hunters. But then you have other farmers who let everybody hunt on their property. They want the geese gone or the ducks gone or the turkeys gone, so they let everybody go, and that's where you run into
banging heads.
And then you have the farmers that say, okay, well, I've given Steve permission and you have permission and this one other guy, and you guys have to sort it out on yourselves who hunts where. So it would make the most sense for me to call Steve and the other guy and say, okay, well, I'd like to hunt there today. Are you going there today? Well, yeah, I am actually. Well, how many guys? Well, it's just me and my brother. Well, why don't you join us and we'll hunt together?
Yeah.
Or you know what, Steve? You go hunt there. We have another spot we can go to. No hard feelings.
No hard feelings. No one gets in a mess and they get grumpy. Right?
Because the way I look at it too is most people aren't going to duck hunt or goose hunt as often as maybe we will. You might only get out twice a year to bird hunt. You have other stuff going on. You deer hunt. Deer hunt starts. You don't care about birds anymore. Whereas we're going to hunt right through till it frees up, and we know that there'll be birds there for another day.
Yeah. And so, the new birds move in, and that's the thing, right? But as farmers get doing their thing and turning under the crops, it all changes.
Yeah.
But I encourage everybody to go on to gohuntbirds.com. Check out what Mark has to offer. We're going to have him back on to another show and talk about how we can approach those landowners and maybe how you can approach the guys that might be upset at you for hunting existing cornfields like I did yesterday. So, Mark, thanks for coming. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Join into homegrownhuntertv.ca. I encourage you, go pick yourself up a mason jar. Mark, if you wouldn't mind giving it's obviously .com.
gohuntbirds.com. We have hoodies, we have hats, but we're not just about selling clothes. We're about selling the lifestyle.
Pass the word around about Go Hunt Birds and get involved with them. And then as Mark builds his brand, obviously we're going to help you out from Homegrown and Mark to maybe gain access. And so we're all under the same roof and understand each other. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. Take care.